Hey, happy Tuesday morning to you, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Musings, and thank you so much for being with me. You know what? I have gotten, over the last couple of weeks, some of the most absolutely incredible, heartwarming, humbling emails and private messages. I am literally astounded. I am thankful to the Lord for the impact our videos are having. You know, I wish that we were getting 15, 20,000 views per video a day. Obviously I do. But it is absolutely stunning to me, the number of emails and private messages that I get telling me that these videos are changing their lives. Had a couple of emails just last week from individuals telling me that these videos have absolutely transformed their lives, and it has made them fall in love with the Lord all over again. They had been so confused on eschatology, and now they feel liberated, they feel invigorated, and they have fallen in love with the Lord and His Word all over again. And I just can't tell you how wonderful that makes me feel. I'm simply sharing with you my understanding of God's Word. An understanding that clearly has been gleaned from years and years of study. I continue to study. I continue to investigate. You know, I love God's Word. I love the Lord, and I love to know more of His heart and His mind and His will. And I'd love to share that with you. Okay. Well, we are continuing our study of the resurrection, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, parallel with Romans chapter 8. Romans chapter 8 foretold or spoke of the time of the then present messianic sufferings, messianic woes that would lead to the resurrection, the redemption of the body, the adoption. Okay, I've been sharing with you that in the Jewish narrative, and just a few moments ago I'd been reading some of the comments I made in my book, Daniel, the resurrection of Daniel 12:2, fulfilled or future. And I have in here just discussion after discussion of text after text in which in the Old Testament you find this connection between the messianic woes, i.e. the Great Tribulation, followed immediately by the resurrection. Folks, don't let anyone tell you that there's not a direct temporal connection between the tribulation and the resurrection. That is not a biblical doctrine. That is not a Jewish doctrine. Well, I told you in yesterday's video that there are attempts being made now to escape the force of Daniel chapter 12, 1 and 2. You know, the text is really clear. At that time, Michael shall stand up, the great prince of your people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was, since there was a nation, even at that time, and at that time your people shall be delivered, even of those who are found in the book. And those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. Now look, in the Greek, in the English, and is a connective particle, right? It's a conjunction, joining things. Well, a brand new, as it were, doctrine has arisen to escape the force that Daniel was predicting the tribulation and the resurrection to occur at the same time. Here's how the argument goes. Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, and at that time must refer to the antecedent discussion, and that is, in this explanation, the time of Antiochus Epiphanes. Well, let's be very clear. Daniel chapter 11 does discuss Antiochus Epiphanes. There's a little question about that. So the argument is made that the Great Tribulation of Daniel chapter 12, verse 1 must refer to the time of Antiochus Epiphanes. But then But then we have a prediction of the end of time resurrection. So here's what that means. In the time of Antiochus Epiphanes, 2nd century BC, you have the Great Tribulation. In the period at the end of verse 1, you insert so far a 2,200-year gap. Because after all, according to this view, the resurrection did not occur in the time of Antiochus Epiphanes. So, verse 1, Antiochus Epiphanes, period, 2,200-year gap, resurrection, but it still hasn't happened. Now, let's see something here. As I've already mentioned to you, Daniel chapter 11 most assuredly does discuss Antiochus Epiphanes. However, there are many noted scholars who believe that there is a shift of the major focus on Antiochus Epiphanes to putting him in a secondary role, while the focus has shifted temporally to the major focus of the last days and the time of the resurrection. And that transition is seen. By the way, scholars such as Golden Gay in the Word Biblical Commentary, James Jordan, Jim McGuigan, and some ancient scholars as well, Josephus saw the importance of this event. In Daniel chapter 11, we have the story. I'm not going to take the time to read it because I'm already running out of time here. But you have the story of how Antiochus Epiphanes made a second journey down into Egypt to invade that country. He was met at Alexandria on the shores of the sea by a Roman senator by the name of Gaius Popilius, who was a former friend of his, who had grown up in Rome with him, but who is now an official senator, an official representative of the Senate of Rome. Rome had decided that they had had enough of the shenanigans of Antiochus Epiphanes. So here comes Gaius Popilius. He meets Antiochus Epiphanes on the shore of Alexandria, Egypt. And he tells him, "You will not invade Egypt." Antiochus was absolutely enraged. Because you see, up to this point of time, he's been the dominant player. He has been the dominant military role. Rome has been growing in strength, growing in popularity, growing in influence. But Antiochus has still been the major player. But Rome has decided to challenge that authority and that power and that dominance. And so Gaius Popilius he throws down the gauntlets. You're either going to war with Rome or you're going to back off. Now look, let's make no mistake, Antiochus was a major, major player. But he also recognized the growing power of Rome. And so he said, well, I'll tell you what. Okay, give me a little bit of time to think about that, if you would. So Gaius Popilius took his sword, or his spear, as some accounts, and he drew a circle around Antiochus Epiphanes in the sand. And he said, make your decision before you leave the circle. Antiochus Epiphanes had no choice. It was either go to war with Rome or withdraw. He withdrew. From that point forward, folks, Rome was the dominant power. The focus has now shifted in the scheme of the eschatological narrative, has shifted to the days of Rome. Does it continue to mention Antiochus? Yes, but he's on the out. He is on his way out. Rome is on the way in. And it would be at that time. That time what? The days of Rome. When the Great Tribulation would occur. And let me reiterate this. This is not an invention of Don K. Preston. There are some very noted scholars in the world who accept this view, who believe it is the necessary view, who believe it's the contextual view. And thus, just like Jeremiah 30, just like Isaiah 25, just like Isaiah 26, just like Hosea 13, just like Micah chapter 4 and 5, we have perfect agreement that you would have the Great Tribulation, the birth pangs of Messiah, giving way to the kingdom, giving way to the judgment, giving way to the resurrection. Daniel 12 does not break that harmony. It continues it and puts that resurrection firmly in the days of Rome. We will demonstrate that even more on the flip side. In the meantime, get a copy of my book, The Resurrection of Daniel 12:2, Future or Fulfilled. You will love this book. You will see how powerfully, how clearly, how easily it is to prove that affirmation. The resurrection was in the days of Rome. Hey, go to my website, donkpreston.com, bibleprophecy.com, order the book, and I'll pay your shipping. In tomorrow's video, I'm going to show you even more proof that the resurrection was in the days of Rome. You do not want to miss it, so we'll see you on the flip side.